Hello, my name is Jonathan Burnham, aka Kalos, and I just wanted to talk why I'm actually looking forward to Forza Motorsport, the new one, call it Forza Motorsport 8. I'm a little annoyed, had to redo this video, had my noise gate set up incorrectly, having some issues with desktop audio hitting the mic. It doesn't seem to happen when I play games, but it apparently if I'm on a browser, it tends to do that. But let's kind of get into the subject. I got my reading glasses on, my hearing aids in. Why I'm looking for the new Forza Motorsport. Right now, I'm looking for the competitive play. There are only two games out there right now with integrated player safety and rating system. That would be iRacing and it would be GT7. Now, there is low fuel motorsports for ACC, R Factor 2. Apparently, they tried to do Automobilista 2, which is the current game I'm pretty much been playing exclusively lately, but it didn't quite. It didn't quite. It's really not quite accessible. And if you're extremely competitive and you want to play hardcore, it's a pretty good way to go. Here, let me get out of this. Uh, there we go. We'll come over here. I move this over. I'm a little more excited about Forza Motorsport because I'm a Simcade racer. I started with Forza 6 and Forza 7. I went to a wheel and I got so sick of it, I ended up going to sim racing, ACC, and then other kind of arcade games like Grid, Project Cars, Project Cars 3 even. I had a lot of fun with that. Even ran Elite. However, and then I went to PC, played ACC for a while. I've played some Assetto Corsa, but mostly, I've played Automobilista 2 and ACC for the most part. I did some Dirt Rally, had some fun with that. I played quite a bit of, Race Room. I played Race Room for a while. And I'm going to kind of go through all those and why I think Forza Motorsport has a real chance here. One of the let me get the two big problems out of the way. They talked a lot about the physics. Look, the physics don't need to be perfect. What they need is a good racing wheel experience. It doesn't have to be perfect. Competitive with controller. They've always had a good controller experience. I got a little more hopes for that because I played Forza Horizon 5 and it's actually a lot of fun on a wheel. It's not competitive with controller. The arcade physics uh, really kind of lend themselves towards using a controller for an advantage, but at the same time, it was a lot of fun on a wheel. And if they can do better on Forza Motorsport and bring wheel and controller close together, I think they have a real shot at a wide player base. And the reason for that is we talked about GT7 and iRacing. Well, the only GT7 is for Simcade racing experience, it is the way to go. It has been, they got way ahead of with GT Sport, now GT7, they're way ahead of Forza. Forza's just joining. The only reason I think Forza has a shot is because Sony and PlayStation refused to release GT7 on PC. Forza, they have no issue with crossplay, and they have no issue with putting their games on PC. So now you have a large player base of casual players who can play on PC with Xbox players. And if they can make that work, you have the potential for them to gobble up a lot of players. iRacing, when it comes to accessibility, low fuel motorsports and iRacing, you're going to spend a ton of money on iRacing. It's not accessible. And let's not even talk about having the ACC and having to find, unless you're really good and can do your own tunes, having to pay for setups, right? And I just refuse to go the iRacing road. But the larger the player pool is, the more they can make the rating system work. And the reason I bring that up is that's where Race Room really fell apart. I like Race Room, but it's an buying it is really not a good experience. And then you don't have the races. And even though they have a rating system with safety rating, they don't make splits out of that. So you're still just jumping in with people, and they don't have the player base. So you have to come in on peak European hours, and I'm in the U.S., so that doesn't really work for me. Usually wouldn't work for me. The and then it's always the earlier, lower ranked ones in that are lobbies that are fuller. So you don't, and then you're jumping into a random lobby still, even though it's a ranked race. Yeah. So Race Room didn't quite work. I wish it had. I liked Race Room a lot. Let me move my notes here so I can kind of stay on track. Low fuel motorsports. Yeah, you're gonna have to be fast to get into it, and it's not a casual experience at all. You have to go outside the game to get it to work. And again, you're still kind of stuck with peak European hours and not having the lobbies just available to jump in and play. Let's see. And like I said, I think if GT7 had come to PC, Forza would have been so far behind the power curve, they had no shot. But because they didn't do it, they have a place. I think they have a chance to really kind of gobble up a lot of players. Maybe even force GT8 or GT7 to come to PC to compete. I don't think it's really worth getting into the nitpicky, the graphics, and which simulation is better. We won't really know that until Forza is released. But as long as it's good enough, a good simcade experience, I think it doesn't matter if it's accessible. It works with the wheel, and they have a way to eventually do broadcasts in the same way that Gran Turismo does with its FIA World Challenges and things like that. I, I really think they can make it work. I do prefer what Forza is doing here. This is one of the reasons I have this up, is because my experience in low fuel motorsports was if the track you're not if you're it's and my understanding GT7's the same way, it's same track all week. Why that does promote getting used to the track and learning track, that's all great and stuff. I don't want to do Schneiderton all week. I'm sorry. Not a huge fan of that track. Just like with Forza, right? Yas Marina is coming out in November. Do I really want to do Yas Marina all freaking week? No, not really. I like the fact that you're still switching tracks. Yeah, you have an opportunity to do the races you want. I like the spec series, so it gives you that chance to not have to worry about. I'm sure they lock the tuning too, because they're like Forza GT or combining GT4 cars, GT3 cars, GTLM cars, Super GT cars. The only way to make that work is if they lock the tunes down. But if they make that work, it could be great. The touring car series, open events will be interesting. I will explore that when it comes out. I have early access. I paid for the premium, but you know, I'm okay with that. But it's accessible. It's open on Xbox, PC. You can get it on Game Pass for PC, or so it has the potential for a lot of players. And the more player base you have, the more this rating and safety system works. I'm a little concerned, like if you look here with the touring cars, there's a race every 3 minutes, and I kind of get that. Allows them to rotate through the tracks quickly. 20 races an hour starting. My only concern is that they might split the player base too much, especially when you take all the different, you have, say here you have six. They showed a different one where you had like three spec spec events and like two open events. It's going to be interesting to see how they work that. But but hey, if they make that's all they got to do is it could be a lot of fun. If they have enough player base, they can make this work, and it means you can jump in and do the races you want to do, and you're not going to get just thrown into a random lobby. Let me check my notes here, see what I'm missing. Because outside of, doing ranked or rated racing, you got to find a league or you got to find a community that does races at certain times that may or may not work for you. Like right now, I do sim racing arms on Automobilista 2. He's got a small community that's a lot of fun. Race on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Automobilista, yeah, on AMS2, and it's a lot of fun. But at the same time, it would be nice just to be able to jump in and get some competitive racing. So there's a couple things. I mentioned the wheel, but they need to make sure that the penalty and safety system works. I'm a little worried about the penalty system based on some of the videos I've seen. At least in single player, it seems very lenient. So hopefully it's a little stricter in, like, say, player contact and figuring that out. If they can make their AI system work, they have some real potential there. Let me see. Doesn't have to be a pure racing sim experience. Just needs to work well and be fun with a wheel and a controller. My apologies. I do have a bit of a cold, so I'm still kind of coughing here and there. My apologies on that. Yeah. So I mean, there's been a couple good videos. I'll link them in the description. You've got Super GT. I tried to do Forza Motorsport on the wheel. And then you've got HokiHoshi. It compares a lap to controller. He was actually faster on a wheel. He admits that he's better with a wheel than with a controller. And then Super GT did almost identical controller. And he's for Forza, he's a controller player, right? I know he's in GT7. He's doing some real life racing, but he played with the settings, and that's the thing. Now the default out of the box is not necessarily going to work. When I get early access, I'm going to go through all the settings. I'll try to explain to you what each one of these does, and I'll put that out later. And that way you could see what kind of settings I'm using to make it work, and then make your own adjustments. But uh, Hokihoshi does a real good job on his, just showing, how he did a wheel and how it compares. So you can see his current lap. I think he did with the wheel. I'll come to the end of it at Kyalami. So he does a 2026 with the same car and a controller. He does, let's see, 2037. And I think on Super GTs it shows something similar. So it's looking good. There's some issues with Forza. I might put a video out there kind of showing when it comes to tuning and building cars that traditionally has been a problem with Forza, like rear-wheel drive power cars, and I can talk about that in a different video. Uh, it, and on Forza Horizon 5, there's some issues with aero and how it works, but I don't remember if that's something they changed from Forza 7 or if that was a problem on Forza 7. It's hard to say because Forza 7 was so bad in the wheel. I don't even know if the aero issue with the way it makes you turn is an issue or not. But I can discuss that in a different video. But you can definitely see Super GT for some reason was using normal steering for a long time. It's like, oh, sim steering, that's better and gives you a lot more control. And then played with the settings to get it pretty decent for him, decent experience. And really, that's all I think all most of us could ask for. I'm not expecting perfection out of Forza, but if I can play, have fun, and be competitive, and it's something I can jump into any time of day, that'll be great. So I think that about covers everything I wanted to. Let's see, they're talking about, you have the open class series and the spotlight series, and that's where you're gonna be able to tune cars and race them against other people. So I'm gonna be curious to see how that actually works out because traditionally you got some bizarre builds with Forza, and if they fix some of the physics things, maybe it'll. And plus, how it rates the PI based off of what the AI could do, like power rear-wheel drive cars, those need to die. I will do a video on that. And if those things still exist, it's going to ruin all the uh, lower class series. with for Open Series. But you know, we'll see. I'll put out more. This is why I'm excited about Forza Motorsport, and hope you have a good day. And I'll check this video. Hopefully, I don't have a gate issue or it keeps cutting off my voice. All right, you guys have a good day. Thank you. Bye.